No idea, I admitted. I really didn't see Sanguine working in this place. Aside from those things patrolling the halls, none of the labs looked, well, lavish. We went into another room, half filled with smashed open cages and a blackboard that read, Dog X Rattlesnake. All the loyalty of a dog, all the viciousness of a snake. Pro. Loyalty-ishness. Con. Ugly as sin. Pro. Natural camouflage makes ugliness moot. Con. Name? And beneath that was a list. Sogs. Dakes. Hissy pups. Night stalkers. The last had been circled and Genius written next to it. A little board next to the cages read Feeding Duty. There was a list of pony names, each one crossed out. The last one had I fucking quit scrawled next to it. Smart pony. We need to find a working elevator or stairs, down or something. I just know that if Chimera is here, it's somewhere down below. All the nasty projects had to be down below. We left the cages and found some stairs leading down. They led to a heavy, substantial steel door. No lock, and no matter how I jerked the handle or beat my hooves against it, it wouldn't open. Power door. Probably needs a password or something to open it, H21 said. I glared at the door for a moment, then tried to bite it. Maybe I could gnaw my way through. After several seconds of scraping paint with my teeth, and I coughed and gave up. Okay, pass card then? I muttered as I stared at the door. That meant going back up. On the second floor, we entered a large, long room half filled with machinery. Super Speedy Cider Squeezy 9000 had been written on one side, but the metal plaque had been scratched out and a sign read, Super Speedy Flux Mixer 9000X Turbo had been painted above it. There was a hopper on one end that was filled with glittering gems and a keg marked Biological Deluxe Flux on the far side. As I dug up the gemstones with my hooves, Rampage filled with a projector on a small table in the middle of the other room. Suddenly, the lens lit up and crackling magic filled the room. A flickering square appeared on the wall, and two unicorn stallions trot into view. If one hadn't been sporting a mustache, I never would have been able to tell them apart. Well, how do you do? How do you do? The smooth-lipped one said with a cheery grin. I'm Flim. I'm Flam, said the other. And we're the Fim Flam Brothers, welcoming you to Hippocampic Research, a place where science is pursued effectively, efficiently, and ethically, they said in unison with a solemn nod of their heads. Flim gestured to a cartoon drawing of the building. I'm sure that you are familiar with a great many of our products. And what kind of world would we live in without Sparkle Cola? Flam asked, pressing the back of his hoof to his eyes. A little note popped up at the bottom of the screen, barely caught by the pink pony in my head. Not affiliated with any way, shape, or form with the Ministry of Arcane Sciences or its employees. Any resemblance is strictly coincidence. And how would you get through life without Wonder Glue? Flim asked as he held up a tube in his hooves. Well, you need not wonder any longer, dear customer, because these are just a few of the many products brought to you by the hard-working ponies of Hippocampic Research, Flam said as the other pony shook hard to free himself from the bottle of glue. Then he looked out, smiled sheepishly, and stepped back as the mustached pony gestured to his side. While dozens of our end-user products like a Bronco detergent and Sugar Apple Bomb cereal are familiar to you, our most important product is a material you may not be familiar with. Or maybe you are, in which case, what you are doing, wasting time watching this? Flim interjected as he reappeared beside his brother. So by now you're probably wondering, what is this amazing product that brings so much joy and wonder into my life? Flux! They declared proudly as a smiling cartoon barrel filled to the brim with rainbow goo appeared between them. Now, if you're a clever pony, you're asking yourself, what is Flux and just what can it do? Flim said as he nodded his head. And if you're not asking that because you already know, then why aren't you working for us? Asked Flam with a cheeky grin. Flim put a pair of thick, nerdy glasses on. Flux is the simple term for bioarcane chemo flux. You might also hear it referred to as biomagical flux or metacatalyst, but those are just simple terms for a substance, the wonderful substance over time, he said with a nod as the barrel was replaced with a tree. What does it do? Why, what doesn't it do? You see, think of flux as raw magical goo. You can use it to make all kinds of magical effects. The barrel moved on top of the machine. Take an example of our good friends at Rebronco. All you need is the proper equipment and some scrap metal. Flam crowed. A heap of scrap metal moved into the machine. The smiling barrel dripped one rainbow-colored drop into it. There was a flash, and a smiling toaster rolled out. Amazing! Science! I had to admit, I was impressed. P21, not so much. Flim appeared with a wide grin. So, where does this magical, mystery substance come from? Well, the exact mixture is a closely guarded secret. Flam frowned sternly. Very closely guarded. We wouldn't want any nasty stripes getting their hooves on it, he said with a grin. Now, at least not for less than a bajillion bits. They both said in unison, Just kidding! Flim pointed at a cartoon copy of the machine occupying the room. Well, wonder no longer. Here at Hippocampic Research, we've put science and technology to good use. A stack of gemstones appeared over the hopper, and Anne poured in. With our own special blend of quality equine gemstones, 6 bottles of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple poured into the middle as Flam went on. And our own domestic rainbow colorant, and our own special patented super spell, they proclaimed together. A shot cartoon lightning at the cartoon machinery from their horns. The machine began to flash and flicker, and suddenly a rainbow sludge poured out the far end and into a drum. We create our one-of-a-kind, cannot be duplicated, manipulated, copied, or knocked off flux. The image then showed the building, and, leaving it, wagons being pulled by train tractors heaped with smiling barrels. And where does it go when it's done? Well, where doesn't it go? Flux is used in everything from abnormal braces to zippers, and everything in between. Hundreds of products you use every day either were made from it, with it, or by flux. Flim said off-screen. Flam then appeared looking sad. Now we want to caution you with something that, as super amazing, one-of-a-kind as flux, is not something you should play around with. Flim appeared next to him and gave a solemn nod. Absolutely. They vanished as Flim's voice went on. No doubt you've heard about some poor pony playing around with a barrel of unauthorized, tampered, or used flux, and suffered some horrible accident. A smiling pony, wearing a bow, trod along and inexplicably tripped and fell into an open, frowning barrel. She popped back out, but a wing sprung out from her left side and a cow's horn sprouted out from the right side of her head. She looked like quite a sad pony. For which Hippocampic Research denies any and all liability. Flam muttered softly. Flim continued. We want to assure you that, used properly, flux is a valuable, nay, an essential part of our modern world. So, we wish to thank you for your interest in coming to Hippocampic Research, Flam said with a grin. Talk to your parents about taking one of our patented Night Stalkers home. At last, a pet you can count on to keep you safe from nasty stripe infiltrators, bred and trained to attack any and all zebras at first sight. Or perhaps you're more interested in our Scorpio sprites. If you have a sibling or neighborhood bully you want to get even with, then they're nothing better, Flam proclaimed. And if you're looking for our legal department, they're located on the 4th floor. Office hours, 11:88 to 11:59. Griffin Standard Time, Flim said with a wide grin. The pair of them sang out. So, we've got opportunity in each and every community. He's Flim, he's Flam, and we're the famous Flim Flam Brothers. Then the projector flickered and died. The three of us stared blankly at the wall, and I muttered softly, "Well, now I have a better idea of why the world blew up like it did."